Live from the City of Angels. If you recognize the track you hear in the background, you are a good friend of MMT. One of our favorite films of the past decade, I guess at this point. This is from Good Time. This is Connie. And if you've heard this, you instantly are transported back to the film, right? The second you hear it. And it's fitting for where we are again here tonight, live from the City of Angels. As always, down the street, the fires continue. And we have a suspected arsonist. We discussed this last night, man. I told you guys something was off. I said these fires are jumping around in a weird way, and the wind was not nearly as strong last night, and we saw these things popping up, and I said, not tonight. This reeks of something much more suspicious, and here we are 24 hours later, and guess what? Who nailed it again? MMT's batting average continues to be .998. I think we're pretty much going to flip it to .999 at this point. That is how good we are. As we go straight to, bring me up, and we get ready to go straight to X for the suspected arsonist that is under arrest here in the City of Angels. Thanks for being here on this Thursday night. We're also going to discuss Den of Thieves 2. I just got out of that. Burbank AMC is up and running tonight. I wish it wasn't. We'll talk about it in a second, but let's get to it here. As I have titled this stream, and you guys see it there when you clicked on it, LA torched and the looters are swarming. There is so much to discuss right now. Here's a live look at KTLA. You can see the aftermath of the fires here. Palisades fire, almost 20,000 acres, only 6% contained. It's still going on. There is still plenty of smoke out there. You need to wear a mask if you're out and about in the greater Los Angeles area. Me and Burbank here tonight at the AMC. Quick run from the garage to the movie, and it wasn't very busy. I mean, it's a dead time of the year for movies, but still, a lot of folks are at home. They're watching the coverage. They're like, I'm not going to risk it going out and then possibly being trapped somewhere, because Burbank AMC's against the hill here in Burbank. So if there were a situation to break out in the Burbank area, that would be where you would not want to be. So I understand why people aren't heavily populating that particular area of Burbank. But I'm at the point now in my life, we've talked about this before, where I've seen everything, I've experienced everything, and very little phases me, and I'm just carrying on with my life. You know, I'm at the movies. It's just like a regular Thursday night for me. But you can see the aftermath, just horrendous. Let's go to X, and you can see this suspected arsonist here of the Kenneth fire. I'm going to pull up the map in a minute. I'll show you where that is. It is out further in the valley. Now we're in the valley, okay, where I am in Burbank. And you can see here, this is an 800-plus acre fire. And look, we can see, let's pull it up and see if we can get a little of this video, pop the volume up. And it's one of my first times looking at this because I was, like I said, sitting through a 2.5-hour movie tonight. Oh my God. But you can see there. What did I tell you guys? I told you guys about that house last night in the valley. Suspicious, man. Everyone's like, you know what? Here's the worst. Is like, I'm throwing that out there that there could be an arsonist, homeless, whatever it may be, right? And there's people that come out instantly and go, well, the winds were blowing, so you can't say that. How about this? Shut the fuck up. I'll say what I want to say, and what I said last night looks like it's damn right. Let me tell you, when I take the shot, it's clear. I don't take messy shots. The shots are clean. And we have hit the target every fucking time. So don't come in here questioning me. Don't even. You're wasting your time. And I'll tell you what, Jay, I mean, at this point, why wouldn't you at least put that on the table? Of course, you know, listen, I told you guys, I'm not liberal, I'm not conservative, right? I'm in the middle. But once I see the path to the correct answer, I'm going to take it. And if that pisses off someone, I don't care. We are truth seekers. I'm not here to make people feel good. That's not what this channel's all about. I'm not here to parrot talking points, okay? I am a renegade. I am a maverick, okay? And how I operate is on my own. I'm going to decide what the truth is. And when I get there, I'm going to make sure everybody knows what it is. I'm not going to hold back. And the fact that you can see the picture here right there. I'm telling you guys, how many times have I had this discussion about going to Hollywood from Burbank across Barham, and I see some zombified dude coming out of the hills on fentanyl, all jacked up. It's like the walking fucking dead here. I mean, we have so many problems in LA. Okay, I've discussed it before on MMT, but now we are putting the massive magnifying glass on this shit because we're in the middle of a war zone, okay? And to pretend otherwise is absurd. And if you are one of those people who is pretending otherwise, you are the problem because we have a massive situation and we've got to get to the bottom of it. And we know, here's what has to happen. Let me just level with you. We have to go back to a society that punishes crime, that will deter crime. We cannot have a society where you do something, we slap you on the wrist, and off you go. In my society, we are going to build the jail from Dread, the 3D version from 2014. God, that movie, 14 or 12 is right in there when 3D was back, right? When we had real 3D movies, Dread, Prometheus, Great Gatsby. See, I'm bringing in the movies. It's not just about, right? You saw Dread. We got the tower full of the criminals / crack addicts. We're going to stick everybody in that. Sorry, listen, man, I don't care if it's hurting your feelings. We cannot have a society where you have people who are a danger to society roaming around causing problems. We're not going to have that shit. Not in my world. And we need more people that are of that belief because we cannot pussyfoot around anymore. We have to be as deadly serious as we've ever been in this moment and start cracking down on anyone who is doing illegal shit. And I'm not talking about taking a selfie in a fucking movie. If you're out there saying that, fuck you. Hit the road. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to somebody who wants to get something done. And we have to return to a world of laws, a world of repercussions. And if we do not, we're going to continue down the path. Now, I'm not suggesting every fire we've seen in LA over the past 48 hours plus is the result of arson. I'm not saying that, but I am telling you this, that at least one is. I guarantee it. We already have a suspect. Do I need to pull up more videos from X? I can go to, there's a billion people walking around setting fires on the side of the road, okay, in North Hollywood. I was just up there today. There's people, I'm telling you, man, the homeless are everywhere. Someone got angry last night saying, hey, well, you're being too, listen, I'm not saying every person who's homeless is bad news, but I'm telling you, the encounters I've had with the homeless here in Los Angeles have been enough to make me consider getting the hell out of here. I told you my story from about 2 years ago. I went to see Tar. I remember, you guys know how I feel about Tar. This was Tar at the Academy Museum in Beverly Hills, right on Wilshire. I roll into 7-Eleven to get my, as always, you guys know I love my Diet Mountain Dew. And I had to get it on the fountain, the big gulp. So I'm walking in. And I had my tight soccer kit on. I looked good. I was like, I'm ready to rock, okay? And this scary looking motherfucker came around the corner as I'm walking in because I'm getting out of my car and parking on the street. I'm like, I'm going to get my Diet Mountain Dew. I'm going to see Tar. Everything's good. This motherfucker was going to kill somebody. He looked me in the eye. I looked at him in the eye. And let me tell you something. If I did not show him in my face at that moment that if he makes a move, he's going to be fucking sorry, I wouldn't be here tonight. As I continued into 7-Eleven, the clerk, as I walk in, remember, if I tell you a story, this shit happened. I don't make shit up. I never have. Everything you hear here is 100% accurate. And the clerk was like, "Did you just see that guy?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Damn, that guy was bad news." I'm like, "Hell yeah, of course." But I had to at that moment know that if you show fear, right? You're dead. You're dead. I looked at him like, if you make a move, it's on, and you're going to pick the wrong motherfucker. And at that moment, it's why I'm here, because I didn't go, oh, and that's the thing. That was 2-3 years ago now. That crazy ass, crackhead, nut job walking around causing trouble. I don't want that guy walking into 7-Eleven. Get him off. He needs to be off the streets. I want him out of society. I want him gone. I don't want him walking around. We don't live in a world where people on crack are walking around causing trouble. I'm sorry. If this is where the stream's going, this is where the stream's going. I'm done with this shit. I am done with the bullshit games played by our local government and frankly across the nation, where we are not taking this shit more seriously. And until we do, we're going to pay a price. Do you want me to bring it back? You want to play this game tonight? Let's play the game. And we're going back to the fire. This is what it is. I didn't even know. I came out of Den of Thieves and I was like, okay, we're going to talk about the movie a little, but I really want to talk about other things because let me tell you, if you want me to bring it back, let's do it. Let's play the game. Those of you who's like, oh, Weber's not, he's so heartless. Okay, you want to talk about this shit? Let's roll up and talk about this. Back on about a year and a half, 2 years ago, La Brea, a major road here in Los Angeles, right in Hollywood. There was a young girl working at an art shop or a furniture store. I think it was a furniture store right on La Brea. Okay. I can pull up trust me, guys. I'm not going to be able to give you all the details. I'm going to tell you the most important detail. She was working there on a Sunday by herself. This raging lunatic, homeless crackhead came walking in to the place and filleted her. And that's what I'm talking about. No one's still talking about that. No one wants to discuss the fact that that should not be happening in a civilized society. Yes, they prosecuted him. He was homeless. He's walking around causing trouble. It might have been the same guy, for all I know, that I ran into over there. They are everywhere. And I don't know if this dude's homeless. I'm here to tell you that he's bad fucking news. I want accountability. I want crackdowns. I don't want the government to tell me what to do. I want the government to take care of the bad guys. Because the longer you let this shit fester, where you have gangs coming into the areas of the houses that have been evacuated and they're on their scooters coming in and stealing shit and leaving, if we don't start throwing all those fuckers into the dread condominium, we are going to dread where we're going as a society. I know this is Midnight Movie Talk. I get it. But I'm allowed to discuss what I want. And frankly, this is 100%. He killed her. A young girl with her entire future ahead of her. Killed by a senseless nut job. Evil. And you wonder why people are leaving LA. You wonder why here in Burbank, there are for rent signs everywhere. Places are not renting like they used to. They used to go bang, 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 gone. Put the for rent sign up, gone. For lease, rented. Leased, gone. Off the market. Now they're still sitting there because people aren't coming out here anymore. Because the entertainment business is hurting too. They're cutting jobs everywhere. Every company, Disney, Paramount, every single Warner Brothers, every single major studio here has let go a shit ton of people. Netflix. So you don't have as many people in the entertainment business doing well as they were 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So you really have a society here in LA that is starting to really deteriorate, as you can see clearly. And the fires are just bringing it all out. And then you have our government led by our mayor, Karen Bass, who can't even answer a question or meekly answer it. She just sits there. Why did you cut $17 million from the fire department budget? Why did you want to defund the police? Remember that? Let's defund the police. Yeah, let's just get rid of the police because we have a high trust society. Obviously, you can see that. Here's an interview from the police chief here, or one of the guys one of the officers who's investigating the arson. Let's listen in here for a second.
What we know right now is that the incident started here, and about 30 minutes later, a suspect was detained over in Woodland Hills area by citizens.
So someone purposely set the Kenneth fire?
At this time, that's what we believe, yes.
Do you know how or why they did that?
That I don't know.
Is this a crime scene right now?
Yes.
So everything's closed off?
It's being investigated as a crime.
So a crime. So there we go. Now, they obviously need to absolutely, within the full extent of the law, bring the hammer down. But it's not, the problem is, it's not just one or two. There are so many unhinged people walking around Los Angeles. It is a literal freak show, okay? You go to Hollywood. The last time I went to Hollywood was last award season. I went to the Killers of the Flower Moon premiere, and it was down in the middle of Hollywood. I parked my car, and I got out, and I looked around, and I was like, I don't think I'm going to get out. I think I'm just going to stay and just wait till he comes in Burbank. Because remember what I told you guys, Hollywood is operated by the LAPD, and the LAPD is a shit show compared to Burbank. Burbank, you want to talk about borders, right? We talked about this a million times on this channel. The borders of Burbank are very clear in that no one comes into Burbank and causes much trouble because they know they're going to get into it with the cops, because the cops are like, don't fuck around with this in Burbank, the Burbank bubble. But once you go outside of that, Hollywood, Studio City, it's just lawlessness. It literally is like third world stuff. This town, from when I first moved back here in 2017, okay, I used to go to Hollywood all the time. I was doing improv at a club that shut down, Club Improv. What the hell is it called? And I was in there on like a Thursday night, and I would park on the street and walk in at like 9 o'clock and leave at midnight. And we'd go to shows and had a great time in Hollywood. I would park on the street. I would never park on the street in Hollywood anymore. You're going to get broken into. You're going to get harassed. You might get knifed. I mean, you're going to get in trouble, right? It's a no-go zone. After, hell, I would just say anytime. I don't even want to go down to proper main Hollywood, right there, Chinese theater, and you look at all that El Capitan. I don't even want to go near there because, again, it's just out of control. Because we've now created a society, certainly LA, where you can't criminalize this stuff. Yes, you can. And I think that's one of the reasons we see Trump going back into office here in a few days, because he was the candidate that people believed was going to make a difference towards creating some accountability. I'm not going to get into him as a person. I'm going to tell you the optics of the vote were, I'm going to vote for the person who I believe is going to do more to tackle all of the shit that we have to deal with right now. And that's why he is returning to the office of the presidency very clearly. And if you're liberal and you don't like hearing that, too bad. It's truth. Okay. I don't deal with feelings. I deal with facts, okay? Yes, I do have strong feelings towards films like Anora, yes, and Beau is Afraid, but I largely want to deal with the realities of the situation. And realities are Anora and Beau is Afraid both suck complete and utter ass. So that's reality too. But when we look at our situation, we go back, let's check in with the KTLA real quickly, just quick on the weather. You can see when I pop her up that the winds are much lower again here tonight. They have a little bit more of a gust than last night, but not enough like it was back on Tuesday when we saw the absolute complete nightmare that we dealt with those hurricane force winds. That's exactly what happened when we had the situation on Tuesdays. Those winds were out of control. Now, as far as the cause of all of what we're seeing, is it all just random power lines down? Is it all arson? I think it's a combination of both, right? I really do. I think we're looking at a combination of both things when we look at the end result of each of these fires. The cause is going to be both nature and man. Okay, both. There's too many fires for at least one, and we're seeing the arsonist get busted here tonight. And how about the one last night in Studio City? Again, same thing, very suspicious. Let's look at this. There's a couple things I also want to talk about. When you talk about Pacific Palisades, and we're going to get to Den of Thieves too. If you want to hear me talk about that film, it's coming. But trust me, you're not missing much with that film. It's early January. What do you expect? Pacific Palisades is getting a lot of heat from, I don't understand. Can you guys help me with this? I don't understand the sentiment that's going around now. Is it a younger thing? They're so disenfranchised. They hate anybody who has money. Listen, I fully believe that in this world, in this life, you work for what you get. I am not a socialist, okay? I believe that whatever you have attained in your life, you attain through your ability and merit in whatever given field that you're in. So if you're telling me that we need to have everybody has the same thing, socialist, right? Everybody's the same. I don't want to see someone who's rich because it makes me feel bad. Listen, that's not a them problem. That's a you problem. Okay. You need to control that. I don't care. The rich guy can do whatever he wants as long as it's not hurting anybody. Okay. So I don't understand the mindset that it happened in Pacific Palisades. Therefore, it's okay because they can rebuild, because they have millions. Not everybody who lives in Pacific Palisades is a billionaire. A lot of people been there forever. They have a little house, like look at my parents. They could be living there, right? And they lived there since they were, 30. And they have a house that's worth quite a bit more, but the house isn't anything special. And now their lives are wiped out. But even if it's them or the guy in the $10 million house that we were discussing the other night on Zillow, still, it's a human being, right? Why do we have this kind of disconnect where some people are like, it's okay because they're rich, they deserved it? I don't like that. I don't like to associate with anyone who thinks like that. It's a broken mindset. I am of the belief that every person still has a value, even though I just went on about the homeless, okay? When you lose your value, is when you are creating massive problems for society and you are not a benefit to society, then we have to remove you from society and place you somewhere where you're not going to disturb society, right? So I don't know how that shapes. By the way, someone's going to say, well, this sounds very much like Germany. Listen, listen, here's what I'm telling you. You cannot have a society where we have people who are causing trouble allowed to continue to cause trouble. Okay. We also cannot just have people living on the streets. We can't. We cannot have a normal society where there are tents on the sidewalk and people are trying to live their lives and listen, try to do something. Everyone's trying to accomplish something. If you're not, then okay, fine, but you can't be a detriment to others, right? So in my life, people say, well, Weber, you're outspoken, you're this and that. I don't actively walk around causing trouble, okay? I didn't go to AMC tonight and walk in and go, start screaming and talking on my phone and going blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to lie. I did have my phone out in the corner. It was in the corner. There was nobody. Trust me when I say this, at the lowest level, it was so boring, Den of Thieves 2, okay? We'll talk about it in a minute. But that's like, I talk about being on the phone. I'm talking about causing trouble. I'm talking about vandalism. I'm talking about theft. We're talking about murder, as the case of the poor young girl butchered on La Brea just a year and a half ago that no one wants to talk about anymore. That was someone's daughter who was here in LA trying to make better life for herself. UCLA student, if I'm not mistaken. Gone because a scum of the earth decided to inhabit her space and to remove her from this planet because that piece of shit wasn't removed from society before that moment. Yeah, I know it's dark. I know it's hard. I know that these discussions are not the prettiest things to have, but we have to have them. Will I go back to talk about movies? Of course. But you also need to understand this is who I am, and I'm not about to mask it. I'm not about to pretend to be something else for anybody. The reality is, I am a very strong believer in consequences and in accountability and definitely punishment. And until we return to a society that values those things greater than the one we have now, we are going to see a world again that resembles what we saw at the end of, you know what I'm going to say, Joker. We are. I mean, it's scary at times, right? You look around and you're like, my God, we're devolving, aren't we? But look, this is from a tweet I just saw earlier. Pacific Palisades median income is $200,000, paying 9% income tax and 1.17 property tax rate on a median home price of $3.5 million. So imagine paying all that and watching your home burn to the ground with no water for fire hydrants. So this tweet has a lot going on. What I find very interesting is the idea that, and I do believe this, if you are contributing to society, if you are somebody who is actively making society better by contributing tax money, by giving your time and your service, and you're creating things, you're making things, you're doing things, then you should expect your government to be able to keep you safe. And that includes fire and police and just general welfare of the community. If you can't get that done, then you've let down society. And clearly, that is where we are at this moment here in the city of Angels. Okay. And as you can see here, so many people are streaming now, talking about this. Everyone's discussing it because it's right there. You have to have this conversation right now. And with Trump coming back into office here in what, 11 days? Is the 20th? Listen, I told you guys, it's not a political stream. I'm not going to sit here and talk about Trump, this and that. I'm just here to tell you that as we get ready to transition, I pray that everything stays reasonably calm, which here it's not. Let's hope it doesn't spread like a fire to other areas of this country. Here is back to the looters, as we talked about that. This is a report from KTLA from earlier today. The reporter is right here where last night, remember we were talking about the Runyon Canyon fire. They evacuated all those houses. So listen to what the reporter has to say. And then more importantly, to the woman that she interviews in this piece. It's about a minute. Have a listen.
As I was getting my whole family out, all you have in your mind is just you're in survival mode at that point. I saw men coming into our neighborhoods. Police confirmed it. She had this to say. Take a listen.
It was wild. We just started seeing all these cars pull up, doors open, and groups of men running up our street, going up to the doors of these houses. And we weren't sure what was going on. I'm thinking, are these people here to help my neighbors? I hope so. And I left, and then my husband talked to the police and said, what are those guys doing? These guys don't live here. Get them out. My next door neighbor said, his quote, there were like 100 people that came up on scooters and were trying to get into any and all houses on the street.
And did you physically see police officers stopping them?
I didn't, but it's not to say that they weren't. It was so incredibly chaotic, and I was so worried about my big family and getting them out of our old tinderbox of a.
So what she's saying is, no, the cops weren't there. So there's one theory going around here tonight, which you can't dismiss. Okay, I'm not saying it is the reality, but some fires could have been started to get people out of their houses so that they could go in and loot. You guys don't know what we're dealing with, man. Some of you need to wake up. I know a lot of you here on MMT, you're dialed in. You get it. But for some of you, maybe first time, maybe you're not paying attention. Let me tell you that this is going on. These organized crime rings, okay? We've seen it all across LA where they go into stores and steal stuff. Well, what's the next level? break into houses. We've seen that. What's even bigger than that? Let's get everybody out of their houses. I'm not telling you this is what happened, but it's not something you can just dismiss, right? As soon as everyone's out of the houses, it's a ghost town. I can go in and I can take expensive art. I can take jewelry because most people aren't grabbing that stuff, right? If you leave, you're leaving it all there. And they're not robbing the apartments. I mean, they could, but they're probably going up to the nice houses. Because again, remember, we just looked at these houses from last night. And what did I show you? I showed you guys all these houses are 3, 4, 5 million, 2.5 at the low end. Okay. Look, here, let's just go right back up there. This is up in that area again. Let me put it in here. Hollywood, California. We'll go and I'll show you again. This is where she was, and I'll show you where these houses are. Let me remove the boundary. We're going to go across, and I'm going to show you exactly where she was. You have a $12 million house right here, right? There we go. $12 million house sitting there. Okay. There's 12. Look further up, 4.15. We looked at that one. $7 million house. Look, let's say that's evacuated. Okay. Let's say that the owners left something in there. It looks like it's empty, but let's say that, again, not this house, but the house next door that's not for sale that's worth $7 million. That's got a bunch of stuff in it. That's got loot. So what happens? There's no one there to stop them. They walk in and they take stuff and they leave. You don't think that's happening? Hell yes, it is. Hell yes, it's happening. Okay. So you need to be aware that what I'm discussing is not fantasy. She's telling you in this clip right here, that's exactly what's happening. That gangs on scooters are driving up and there they go. Right? They start to break into the houses and take shit. Look at this from yesterday. This is what I talked about, right? Here we go. This is exactly what I talked about at the start of the stream here with the homeless problem and starting fires. This is like on the side of the street. I think this is Santa Monica. Look at this stuff. This is a lawyer captured this yesterday. Look.
Fire. These guys, not all the people there, but some of those guys lit that fire, and they're actually the trees caught fire, and then the palms are catching fire. So civilians are now lighting fires down in the so-called, flats around Santa Monica.
So that's the flats of Santa Monica that I showed you on the map the other day, right? So you look at the mountains and Brentwood going up, that's the flats. And look, that Santa Monica's bad. I mean, I haven't been to Santa Monica in years because I hear the homeless problem in Venice. They have all kinds of RVs over there. And the thing about the RVs that makes it really tough for the cops is that the RVs are obviously massive. So you can't just tow them. Where are you going to put it? So the problem with all the RVs in LA is that you can't do anything to them. There's one here in Burbank that's been parked there. The guy's got like 50 tickets on the windshield. They can't do anything because they don't know where to tow it. So they're at the mercy of the RV owner to move it. I mean, you can't arrest him. So that's what I'm saying. So like the laws here are handcuffing what you really have to have happen, which is to tow that out of there, give the guy like 30 days to pick it up. And see, the problem is, where do you tow all the RVs? It's bad, guys. This is not like funny stuff. It's so bad out here. You see this woman here, this was Gavin Newsom today. This almost felt a little staged. She was waiting. Obviously it was an ambush, but it's not like, listen, no one's going to defend Gavin Newsom at this point based on what we've seen here in California. Listen to her as she walks up to Gavin Newsom, who didn't bother to take off his sunglasses while he talked to this poor woman who's lost her child's school to the wildfires there in Pacific Palisades. Have a listen.
Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the call.
Why is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have.
Okay, I'm going to stop Newsom right here. We'll continue. Let it go for another second. Here's what I'll tell you is he's already handling, even though I'm not suggesting that we shouldn't be on top of Newsom asking him these questions, but at least he's answering the woman. Didn't take the sunglasses off, as opposed to Karen Bass, who just sat there. Right? At least he's sitting there trying, and I guess security just let him keep going. It almost feels in a way like it was staged. It's very weird that she was able to get this close to the governor, and there's a camera there. It's just all, but let's just listen.
4 kids losing
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild.
Why was there no water in the hydrants?
Yeah, she's really ready to go, right? Someone said it looks like an actress. When I first watched this, I don't know which side it's trying to push. Is Newsom trying to look good by talking to this regular woman about her son that lost his school, or daughter, whichever it was? And right, so I don't know, but again, right, you got to start looking at this stuff through the lens of the bullshit detector. What's the purpose? You've got to ask that a lot. What's the purpose of what I'm seeing? Okay, not from this channel, because I very clearly tell you what the purpose of what we're doing here. I do not hide. There is no hidden agenda here. The agenda is very clear when I spell it out. I don't hide. There's no punches pulled. You guys know that. But let's listen to continue. It's right. It feels very rehearsed, very staged.
Governor,
It's all literally.
is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
To fill
everything
the
I can.
hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that.
I literally.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
Well, someone made a good point. He doesn't look good here. At least he's talking to her, but she is absolutely ferocious. I will give this woman, whether it's an actress or not, I got to give her credit. She is absolutely on fire here, and she is unrelenting.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, including making sure people
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing?
I mean, I'm shocked that security let her stand that close to him. That's the thing, right? The camera's there. Security's supposed to be all over. Newsom is not a popular guy here. You don't want just a random person coming up to Newsom, right? During COVID, you didn't want that. You don't want anyone near him. So it was a little strange that she got so close and the security's like, it's okay, we'll just let it play out. I don't know, man. I'm just telling you, I view everything now through a very critical lens. And I say, what's the purpose? What agenda are we pushing here? Does someone want to see Gavin Newsom go? Of course we all do. But is someone behind the scenes want to? I don't know the answers. I'm just asking you to at least think about asking the question, because you just never know. There's no reason not to at least have your mind open to the possibility that I am at least throwing out there. And I think that's what we talk about all the time with even MMT Gets Freaky. We talk about the stuff that I show you on the FAA weather cams on Argentina/Antarctica. I just want you to at least think, is it possible? Right? Is it possible? Look here. This is a unbelievable shot of Pacific Palisades before. Okay, you can see all the houses in there stacked in, really just a ideal neighborhood, right? The kind of thing you see in the movies, right? Not because it's all white folks, by the way. Everyone, oh, look at you. No, I'm just saying, just like Mulberry. It's so beautiful. Look at it. And then you have, get ready for the after. Here comes the after. Yeah. I mean, it's just, you can't even believe it, right? Everything is gone. It's not coming back either, right? It's not coming back. None of this, they're not going to rebuild. If you just lost a $5 million house, would you rebuild there? Hell no. You're not going to go back, because there's an opportunity it could happen again. Even if all the brush is gone, it could spread again. That's why people don't want to rebuild there. I'm telling you, there's going to be nobody that lives there anytime soon. It's going to take decades for that to ever come back to any semblance of where we were before. I suspect it'll never return like it did. It's over for Pacific Palisades. It's never going to return the same way. Everyone here on Twitter talking about the arsonists, talking about the looters, everything that we just talked about. The world literally is completely unhinged, right? There's no question. We're seeing that here tonight. Go back to KTLA and you can see some of the pictures here from, this is the fire in Altadena / Pasadena, where there were so many buildings completely gutted. They're gone. I am going to make my way over there this weekend because I know that area pretty well. I want to see firsthand what it looks like. I might even stream from there just to give you some idea of the devastation, maybe tomorrow, possibly Saturday. But I do want to get over there to have a look at it because that's pretty close. Altadena is about 15 minutes from here. And traffic's pretty light. People are home. They're afraid of going out. And I totally understand that. I would be too. All right, guys, let's take a little break here from the coverage of the fires and everything we've done. And let's do the regular MMT for a moment because it is time, ladies and gentlemen, to show you our versatility. And yes, we are, if nothing else, the most versatile film / news channel in the history of any streaming service on planet Earth. We are ready to do it. Here it comes. The MMT evaluation of Den of Thieves 2 Pantera. Here comes the trailer. Get ready for a movie that had me nearly in a coma. Den of Thieves 2 starts now.
These streets, they're different. They're old. The ties are deep and hidden. It's where the East claws at the West, where the South seeks the North. There's honor here.
This trailer is 1,000 times more interesting than the movie. I like the music. I like the edits. Everything here is so much better than anything in Den of Thieves 2. It's like, let's just take a shot of everything that's awesome in this movie and make it a minute and 10 seconds long. But as I discussed this film tonight, that is 2 hours and 15/20 minutes long. It is one of the longest, most brutally painful films to sit through that I've had in a long time. And it's early January. Remember, early January is not a good time at the movies. You have to understand that this is when Hollywood gives you garbage such as Den of Thieves 2. Now, the original Den of Thieves came out, I believe, in 2018. And it was a reasonable success, 80 million worldwide. So they figured, let's have a sequel. We'll bring back at least Gerard Butler and Shay Jackson, or Shay O. Jackson, Shay Jackson. And we'll have them in the movie, and we can try to make something of it. The problem with this film is that the first half is one of the most boring, exposition-filled. I literally was sitting here in the movie tonight, and I said to myself, can Gerard Butler eat or drink any more items in the first hour and a half of this movie? We see him drink a can of Pepsi. He has a filet mignon. He has some shawarma. Is that how you say it? He has some shots. He has a croissant, which is a running joke that's not funny. He says croissant, and the French guy's like, it's croissant. It's like, he's croissant. That's hilarious, right? He eats, and you can see it. Gerard Butler looks like he really is kind of heavy. He looks like Russell Crowe. He's kind of completed the transformation to Russell Crowe. And you remember what he used to look like? Do I have to pull it up? Do we have to go back to Gerard Butler from 300? Can I remind you that this guy had one of the greatest physiques of all time in any movie? When you look at Gerard Butler in 300, let me just pull up. They had 300 workouts, right? To look like this guy. Look at him. He looked like a monster. Big chest, great abs. I don't know why the ad's there. Get out of there, ad. But you can see this is what we were dealing with, a guy who was a badass. And now he's kind of just rotund. I mean, he's not as big as Russell Crowe, but clearly He's not the same Gerard Butler that was in 300. He's not this guy that you see on the right of your screen right there. That guy was jacked. No one's doing the Gerard Butler Den of Thieves 2 workout. That's definitely not happening. But, in addition to the fact that Gerard Butler eats and drinks throughout the entire first half of this movie, the only thing that gets somewhat interesting is about the last 20 minutes where there's a shootout and they're trying to get away. If the first film is Heat, right? It's a total ripoff of Heat. This film is a complete and utter ripoff of Ocean's 11, 12, 13. But it's not funny. It tries to be, with the Jackson / Butler dynamic buddy thing, where you have Gerard Butler kind of going to turn into a bad guy. So he learns what it's like to be a criminal. I'm not going to say what happens at the end, but I'm just going to say learns. And then you have finally the shootout after this really long, oh my God, the breaking in to steal from the safe deposit boxes takes an hour. I swear to God, I was literally this close to falling asleep in my very comfy recliner at AMC at the Dolby Cinema there in Burbank. But finally, we get to some kind of interesting thing after 2 hours of sitting through this. This is a very painful movie to watch, and I was extremely bored, and I very much recommend you skip this film. 45% for the number on this. That's our MMT score. I mean, listen, here's the thing that you got to remember about January. We've said this a million times on this stream now for over 2 hours, usually now lately, but 2 years. When you look at this release of early January, mid-January, late January, it's garbage. This is the garbage portion of the movie-going calendar. This is where Lionsgate comes in with Den of Thieves 2 Pantera and says, come see this. We can maybe make 10 million this weekend. It is the dregs of the cinematic calendar. And as such, you have to know that when you get Den of Thieves 2, it's not going to be great. Okay. I only watched parts of part 1. I can tell you that it has to be better than part 2. Because the trailer looks great. Again, just watch the trailer. Do not watch Den of Thieves 2. You'll be sitting there for the first hour counting all the items Gerard Butler shoves into his mouth. Okay. And it's a lot. The other thing that's interesting, I found this out before I went on air. And I was wondering during the movie, I'm like, Gerard Butler's not doing much in this movie. Why is he just kind of like sitting there? Well, guess what, everybody? Here's why. Gerard Butler says that he had a torn ACL when he filmed the movie. This is why Gerard Butler is eating croissants, drinking Pepsi, doing shots, having a filet, because he can't do anything. He's sitting at a table eating the entire first hour and a half of the movie because he had a torn ACL. Do you see how we operate? We are next fucking level. Already tonight, in the first 48 minutes of the stream, you have gotten me go off on everything wrong in LA and then pivoting to this early January dreck that is Den of Thieves 2. Can anybody, and I mean anybody, the Charlie Kirks of the world, name somebody, the Laura Loomers, I know these are conservatives, give me someone who's like on the left. And can any of them do this? Not a single one. Ben Shapiro can't do this. Nobody can do it. You're the only place that has the ability to do what we do and do it as well as we do. With the skill. How else? I was wondering, why is he not doing anything? And then boom, there it is. Look, get the ad out of there. He suffered a torn ACL. Look, here's what he says. He says, it was a weird time for me at the beginning of the movie because I'd been through a pretty intense surgery and I tore my ACL fully about a month later and then started the movie. I was not in the best shape, obviously, which I've kind of made fun of tonight. But either way, he's definitely bigger. Pretty physical movie. I guess if you count eating croissants and drinking Pepsis and doing shots and shawarma and whatever else he was eating, the filet. I made this movie with a freshly torn ACL. And it was pretty rough. It wasn't really positive. I was a nightmare and I was a whiny little bitch. Because he had a torn ACL. You see, when you go watch, if you guys go see Den of Thieves 2, now that I just told you what you know now, that he had a torn ACL, you're like, all of the eating scenes make sense. See, this is what we do. We are the magic eye, right, of the film space / the political space now, certainly the breaking news space. We are able to see something and drag all the elements out, and you can see all of them at one time. You guys have seen the book, right? Some people are like, I don't see it. And then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, that's us. We are literally that channel where all of a sudden all of the elements pop, and you're like, I see it. I see things I never saw before. You don't take any hallucinogenics. You're good here. You will just feel it naturally. By the way, I'm out of my Corona Premiere. I feel like I should get another one. I feel like I'm going to go get another Corona Premiere, and I'm going to play the trailer one more time, because here's why I'm going to play a trailer one more time. First of all, to go get me another beer, but more importantly, to show you guys everything that's good about this film that is in this minute long. Everything else is not worth it. So here we go. I'm going to go get another beer. You guys watch the trailer. Pay attention to the edits and the song, and everything here is really good. The movie sucks. Here we go. Here's another minute. I'll be back with my beer in a second.
These streets, they're different. They're old. The ties are deep and hidden. It's where the East claws at the West, where the South seeks the North. There's honor here that must be respected. Rules that cannot be broken. And if a mistake is made, only blood is paid.
This is good. The movie's not. I even like this. What is this? I love my electronic, and I don't even know what this is. But it's a great track. Not in the movie. Again, better than the movie. Because the song's better than the movie right there. Right? The edits. This trailer, quote, slaps, as the kids say. Do they still say that? The movie does not slap. The movie, I wish it slapped me awake. That's it. There's your best part right there at the end. So there, we're done with it. I got my beer. We're good. I also want to mention one thing. There's one other part of the movie that I did like. It has a song from Tin Liquor, which is called Need You, which I love. I might even play on the outro here tonight. I love that song. And they do play it, and he like gets high on some shit, and then they start doing dance. The scene goes on too long, but I love the song Need You by Tin Liquor, and it's in the movie. That's it. By the way, no one else is saying that. You think go watch Chris Stuckman's take on Den of Thieves 2. He's not talking about Gerard Butler eating things. He's not talking about Tin Liquor's Need You. He's not talking about the only thing that's good is the last 20 minutes. He's not talking about that. He's talking about, well, I think that maybe. Why do you watch him? He's so boring. Chris Stuckman, like fucking paint dry. I can't decide if I'd rather watch the first hour and a half of Den of Thieves 2 or another Chris Stuckman video. It's really tough, man. That's a tough. You're asking me to pick between two terrible things. Shazam, that was bad too. Generic AI, but yes, the trailer is still better though than the movie. He did talk about Gerard's. Did he really? Did he eat in the first movie too? I didn't even realize that. Anything's better than Stuckman. Any movies to look forward to? Funny you should ask, Michael. We are going to talk about the most anticipated movies of the year on Sunday night, because we've had so much fire coverage and random stuff going on here. I wanted to save that. Sunday night, we'll return to more movies. Of course, we'll still talk about whatever else. I think at this point, because we've kind of opened up Pandora's box on this channel, I don't have a problem with discussing other things. If you might expect to see something random pop in, certainly political, whatever it is. You guys, I do that all the time, though. It's not like it's new. But I think the last few days, I've really leaned into the breaking news aspect of this, breaking into KTLA, showing you this stuff, and talking about it live as it goes on. This is truly a streaming experience that you're getting as we're always live. And I go back to what I used to do. My breaking news that's what I did. So when this happened, I was on the air discussing this, not nearly like I am tonight because I couldn't. Now that I'm shackle free from local news, I can do what I want. And when I can do this and play however I want to do it, then it's more fun. It's more entertaining. And I can say things that would get me in trouble at the local stations. So it's great. It's great. Last Showgirl was pretty strong, by the way. Yeah, Johnny, thank you. I did recommend the film. Remember, it looks great. It looks strong. I love the hypnotic aspect of the film. I would make it darker. I would remove some of the it's a little bit of eccentricity that I would take out of that film, but otherwise it's a film that's a lot better than Den of Thieves 2. You go back and you watch Last Showgirl. I saw it on a screening link a few months ago, and I might watch it again in theaters because it does have Coppola really puts a nice touch on that film. The aesthetics are something else, very much so. A show on your favorite film soundtracks, that could be a possibility as well. I mean, listen, anything's possible here. You just never know what you're going to get on MMT. Back to Twitter. Let me see if I can find some other things about the fire. We already did the evaluation. We've done the MMT evaluation. We have done plenty of politics. We've done the fire. So, I mean, what else do you want at this point? I'm not going 2 hours tonight. I'm only going to go a little bit longer. But I want you to know that I appreciate everybody who watches. I want you to know that MMT is never going to change. We're forever, no matter how big it gets, which is never, it's always going to be niche. It's always going to be the same weird, opinionated, fearless shit. And no one's going to stop us. And no one in the film space, nobody in the film space can contribute. No one can even, this is 2 beers. No one can compete. No one. Okay. And you guys know that. No one. Gore can't, no contest. Stuckman, hell no. Okay. None of them. None. 0. It's not even a contest. So at the end of the day, I don't even care about the views or the likes or any of that shit. We know we're better. We are. You know it. We all know it. I certainly know it. I think a lot of you know it too. It is what it is. Let's just go back and dip in for a second while I try to find a good tweet to go to. Let's listen to Rick Chambers, who's been working literally 48 hours straight. Now he's in Calabasas talking about the fire there.
I'm Rick Chambers. Guys, I'll throw it back to you in the studio.
All right,
Rick,
ask him a question.
Hold on.
And this news
No
tonight,
question.
officials confirming a firefighting aircraft collided with a drone while it was flying over the Palisades fire today. The LA County Fire Chief says the Super Scooper was damaged. It was left with a hole in its wing. The fixed-wing tanker is now grounded. Super Scoopers can hold up to 1,600 gallons of water. They're a valuable resource on the front
thing about
lines.
Micah is he really reads. It's like the Super Scooper grounded after a collision with a drone. He's to throw it away more. We talk about that all the time, right? So the Super Scooper ran into a drone. I mean, crazy, right? You talk about the dangers of being up there in the plane, and now you've got a drone that you got to contend with. You see, this is how I do the news. And they'd be like, you can't do that. I'm like, I will do that. It's exactly what I just did. They can't stop me. These people are reading teleprompters. Look at the fire. This is, again, Palisades fire. It's just horrendous. I can't even, to look at this stuff is literally still very difficult, knowing that these people put so much into, like we all do, into our places, right? I mean, listen, this place is fine. It is what it is. But let me just tell you something, that if I lost everything in here, I'd be sad just like anybody would. You would be. I don't care where you are. I don't care if you live in a studio or you live in a 17-bedroom mansion. If you lose your place where you live, you're going to be devastated. Okay. And exactly, you should be, because I'm not going to draw a line and say, because they're rich, I don't have any feelings for them. That's garbage. I'm sorry. It's called humanity, guys. I talk about all the time. It's called fucking humanity. Have some humanity. Now, unless someone's a straight up evil person, you should have some humanity for these people, regardless of whether their net worth is $10 million or $10. And that goes back to the homeless. I know I absolutely hammered that at the start of the stream. No one is suggesting they don't have value. I'm telling you that we can't have them in the middle of society causing trouble, having Starbucks shut down because they're coming in and using it as their home. We see them taking shits in the street. You guys understand, we just can't, as a society, have that. It makes everything lesser, and we can't have it. Is there compassion in there? Of course there has to be, but we also have to we have to make sure that we're doing the best thing for the greater good of everybody. And unfortunately, some hard decisions have to be made. That's the truth, and you guys know that. No question about it. Back to Twitter. Officials confirmed the Kenneth fire 35% contained, burning Calabasas and West Hills. Fire grew to 1,000 acres Thursday night. Again, that's the arson. Likely Mount Felmer. I mean, there's no question to fund the industrial complex. There's a ton of money spent on the homeless, and I don't see anything good happening. Okay, they have small houses they built up in North Hollywood. I don't know how many people they took off the street with that. The problem is even if you give some of the homeless a house or you give them the proper shelter, they're not going to do the right thing. A lot of them are drug addicted. They need mental services, so they can't even get back on their feet, right? Because the reality is, once you're homeless, think about that. The ability to come back from being homeless is so difficult. You're on the street. You have no place. You have, what are you going to show for your ID? When you try to go for a job, where do you live? I'm homeless. You don't think they're going to say, I'm not going to hire you? When you're at that spot, it's almost impossible. You have to move back in with family, right? You have to. You got to find a friend. You got to get back on your feet somehow, because it's not going to be easy. No way. No chance. But you can see as we go through this KTLA stream, just again, all the fires. The good news is tonight, you can tell by the news coverage, look, that even though they're showing it and there is the fire, you can see it. It's not nearly as large, and they're not like going wall to wall with this. They're showing other things. When I worked in news, I can tell you, once that you have the breaking news going on and you start to see other things, like I just saw KTLA did sports, okay? They did the drone story, even though it's tangential, right? It has to do with the firefighter. It's not what's happening right now. So once what's happening right now dies down, thankfully the fire's getting extinguished, at least most of them, then the good news is that means that's the sign that things are slowly returning to normal when the news is not hammering something 24 hours a day, because that means there's not as much to talk about. There's not as many fires. Last night we had the Runyon Canyon. We had this one break out today, but at least they sort of are getting it under control. And that is, that's all we can ask for. Imagine just being handed a house because you can't stay off drugs. That's the other thing. Movies and film, that's another issue. Should we reward people for bad decisions? Okay. I'm not suggesting every homeless person does not have a story that is about them falling on hard times. Okay. Things happened. They got booted. They got evicted, whatever it may be. Okay. But there's also a number who chose that path through drug addiction, through whatever it may be that led them to the street. And because of that, that's what we're talking about. To your point on this comment is, should we as a society say, here's a house for somebody who fucked everything up? Now go back to the Bible, right? The story. Listen, I'm not the biggest Bible guy. Okay. I know of the Bible. I've read the Bible. I'm a Catholic, even though I don't go to church often. But, am I religious? Yes. Am I spiritual? Yes. But it's not like I'm some Bible beater, like Ray Thumper. Hey guys, no, listen, no, I'm not the first guy there for the Angel Studios release. But the story of the two brothers, right? And the brother who squanders everything comes back, and the father treats him the same as the other son. And everyone's like, that's not fair. So to that point, what would Jesus say? What would God say? Well, then that story clearly points to what we're discussing right now. It's a very complex situation, right? There's no one going to argue that this is not an easy answer. And I understand, even for government, from their perspective, getting control of the homeless is very difficult, because there's so many here in LA. And what do you do to them? What can you do? What do you take them? You only can build so many houses. You can only do so many things. And then eventually they just throw their hands up, right? Because every day there's someone else becoming homeless, and they're on the street, and they're coming into Burbank now. Even though Burbank doesn't put up with it, they're still here. They're still here in Burbank. Yes, Jim, 100%. Listen, Jim, and by the way, everybody who's here, I'm looking at comments. I'm getting to as many as possible. I love any kind of debate. I love any kind of discussion. And Jim, you're right. No one's saying that rich people are perfect. No one's saying poor people are bad. I just, listen, I'm not rich. So last thing I'm going to talk about is, well, it's great. No, there are rich people who are shitbags. There are poor people who are shitbags. Criminals can go both ways, right? So that it's not about how much money you have as to how bad you are. And yes, yeah, rich people definitely do drugs, right? But again, if you're on the street, doing drugs versus in your house doing drugs. Those are two different things, right? Because if you're on the street, you're creating a problem for those around you. If you are whacked out on fentanyl and you're walking around through Hollywood and you've got a family that's here from Oslo and they're walking around Hollywood and then they have to deal with some guy going, wah, wah, you think that they're ever going to want to come back? You have to, that's tourist money. That's them feeling safe. We have to, society, understand that that weighs heavier than the rights of the fentanyl addicted crackhead, right? You have to, that's fair. That's very fair. Okay. We cannot have a society where that's equal. Okay. Unfortunately, we can't have that because you're making, again, society worse. We need to have people that are making society better, okay, through some effort. I don't care what it is. I don't care what your job is. You could work as the trash guy. I don't care. You're doing a service. If you're sitting there on the street doing fentanyl all day, what are you doing for anybody? What are you doing? Someone tell me. What's one thing you're doing other than getting high and getting smacked out of your head? You're doing nothing. You know, so I'm not even talking about someone who works at executive at a studio versus a bus driver. Because that, I'm telling you, everyone who knows me knows this is true. I don't treat anyone differently, whether they're the head of the studio or the custodian. It doesn't matter to me. I don't go that, I don't operate that way. That's why I'm not really big into the star worship, because they're people. They're fucking people. They're regular people that have more money, and that's about it. They're not even special. I'm in better shape than 99% of celebrities. So do you think I'm going to worship them for that? Hell no. So that's the point. They're people. Why are you doing that? So I don't think that I value someone more because they have more money or because they're famous. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I have no interest in the famous people. I've done that shit 100%, right? Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's go back and look at a couple more tweets and we'll get ready to go soon. I can't do 2 hours every night, guys. It's just, and all the conspiracy theories and all this shit. I mean, look at this. It's just crazy. I can't imagine sitting around talking about politics all day. That's why I like doing the movie stuff. I can talk about it, but I can get off of it, right? I don't have to sit here all day and discuss incessant tribal politics, even though I just sounded very right wing at the beginning of the stream. But that's not right wing to want a society that operates under laws and punishments. That's not right wing. So don't, for some clown film Twitter loser that wants to come after me, they're going to say that. Look at him. No, you don't want those things. What's wrong with you? Yeah. Are you one of those people that celebrate Luigi? Because no, we don't celebrate Luigi. That's not, I'm not getting a tattoo of fucking Luigi. You're demented if you have one. You are. You're 100% demented. I'm not, I'm not 100% right. Just so you know that. If you think that's okay, you're demented. I'm right. Am I telling you that what that CEO did was right? If he had any decisions on cutting someone's coverage? No. But we can't celebrate someone just going out and blowing someone away, coming out of a hotel. What kind of society do you guys want? What's wrong with you? That's what I'm saying. There's people that are broken, man. Some of you need to get spiritually connected to some shit. You're really off. You're really off. And I don't want any part of you. You're really off. There's something like broken inside of you. I'm just letting you know that. If you think that shit's okay. I'm not saying that I have a problem with CEOs in general. Let me just say this. No question. No one should be making hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Nobody. Well, okay, if you are, and listen, that's going against my capitalistic, I just said that. But let me tell you something. If I'm making $100 million a year, I promise you this, I am going to give back in the name of playgrounds. I would literally build the most insane playground. It would be like, hey, like back in my home, I was in Boston for 4 years, best playgrounds I've ever seen in my life. When you go to the playgrounds, I would build literally like the MMT playground that has like the longest, biggest slide ever. Like that's dangerous. I don't care. I'm paying for the park. You're going to put the slide in. That's what I do with my money. So when I say no one should make 100 million, if you started a company and you're the person, then yes. But if you are the CEO at Warner Brothers, you don't deserve to be making 10, 20, $30 million a year, Zaslav. I could come in there and do literally the same job If I had someone who was reasonably intelligent on the business side, because I'm a creative guy, but if you give me the business person to sort of work, I can go co-CEO, and you let me handle the creative, you could pay me $2 million a year, and I'll do a better job than Zaslav from a creative aspect, without question. You guys know that. You guys know, anybody knows, if I came into a studio, I would turn that shit around in a second. First thing, let's talk about Lionsgate here tonight with Den of Thieves 2. If I was at Lionsgate and you showed me this movie, let me tell you what I would do. I would instantly say, you're losing 20 minutes out of this film. 20's gone. It's not up for debate. You're losing 20. And if you don't lose 20, we're not going to release the film. So, we have to have people in power that know what they're doing. But I also think there should be some limit to a guy collecting $50 million to make decisions, unless the decisions are making billions of dollars. But even then, I think we're going to have that, Johnny. That's what I said. I want the MMT IMAX, but truthfully, I really just want the MMT Playground / IMAX. How about that? How about this, Johnny? We have the MMT Playground / IMAX. So the kids can play, and then they go in to watch the IMAX screening of Inside Out 2. I mean, that's what I want. Is that too much to ask? All right, here we go. I promised I'm tired. I'm gonna call the stream tonight. I'm gonna show you guys, though. I'm gonna play a song for you. I'll get some extra comments in here as you hear it. This is Tin Liquors Need You, which is featured prominently in Den of Thieves. So I want you to hear the song. Again, the only thing that's good about this is Tin Liquors Need You. I'm gonna play it here for you in a second. Let me turn down the volume, get the thing up. And when I play it, I'll play some comments on the way out of here. We're back on Sunday. Sunday night will be the MMT most anticipated films of 2024. What a wild stream again tonight, right? We talked about the actual evaluation of a film, and we also discussed how LA's a complete and utter shit show, and we did the fire thing. And I'm leaving you with a track that's badass, and the only really good thing about this film, Den of Thieves 2, is Tin Liquors Need You. Here comes the music from that as we roll out of here. I had some comments on the way out of here. Thanks for being here. MMT out in a moment. Here comes Tin Liquors Need You.
I believe we can find a way.
So good.
Get through this pain.
And the lyrics are perfect right now.
I believe we can hold on. Our love is so strong. I need you to hold on to. I believe we can find a way to get through this pain. But I need you to believe too. I believe we can hold on. Our love is so strong, but I need you to hold on to.
Yeah. Boom. When this came on in the movie, I was like, hey, man, how am I in this film? If you go see Den of Thieves 2, when he starts smoking the dope, they crank this track, and he's like dancing around with the Longoria, poor man's version of her in this movie. And Tin Liquors Need You, our MMT track, is close out here tonight. Breakdown. I gotta finish my beer.
I believe we can hold on. Our love is so strong. I need you to hold on to.
By the way, tonight's at Club Santos. The pink and the black.
I believe we can find a way to get through this pain. But I need you to believe too. Believe
Don't be impressed, Steve.
And that's it tonight, live from the Sea of Angels. As always, a pleasure. Thanks for being here. We'll see you back here Sunday night. MMT is off the air.